We've got something slightly different today. I'll just introduce the show, or the podcast, I should say. So we're going to get you all introducing yourselves one by one. So, do you want to go first, Hannah? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm the lead singer of the Bonnevilles, and in real life I'm an acupuncturist. But on stage, I'm a 1950s and 60s rock and roll singer.
Cool stuff. Who's next? Denise, go on.
I'm Dee.
Go on.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm the bass player and backing vocals, helping Hannah. Also, during the day, I also a music tutor as well, teaching music at schools.
Awesome. Right, Craig, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine, mate, that's fine. I'm Craig. I'm the drummer of the Bonnevilles, and during my work, I am a manager with the Post, Royal Mount.
Awesome. So, Phil.
Hi there, yeah, I'm Phil. I'm the lead guitarist, and I also teach private guitar lessons. I'm semi-retired. Well, I am retired, so I just do that, and play in the band.
Fantastic. And we've got one mysterious person who hopefully will make an appearance.
Hey, Mike is saying he's desperately trying to he's messaging me saying he's trying to get back in again, but he's struggling to get back in again.
Right, okay. Well, we'll see how we go. Right, so let's do this thing then. So you've got to tell me about the band. So who wants to tell me a little bit about the history of what you've done, if you see what I mean? And we'll start from there.
Go on, Craig. You can do that one, mate.
Craig's the best one for that, yeah.
Craig,
the history of the band?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Far away.
How we all got together. Right, okay. Me and Denise used to be in another band that I started called Equilibrium, but it didn't really take off. Then it went to Circle of Six. And during that time of being Circle of Six, Denise was given the opportunity to go and rehearse with a rock and roll band, and they were called Reborn 59. Within a week or two of them rehearsing, the drummer happened to leave, and I think was it the I don't know, saxophone player? He left as well, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It wasn't for him, really.
So Denise contacted me and said, would I like to come along? So I came along. We had a keyboard player in Circle of Six called James at the time as well. And the fellow who ran Reborn 59 said it would be a good idea to get a keyboard player in as well. So James came and joined. And then Hannah was already there as a singer. So yeah, it was me, Denise, Hannah, and James, and the fellow. I can't even remember his name now. What was his name? Gary. That was it. I can't remember his surname. He was. So what happened? We went on for about 8 months, done a few gigs, and then he decided that it wasn't going the way he wanted it to go. So he was going to leave and try and start another one somewhere else. He wanted to keep his name that he had sort of come up with, Reborn 59. So it was left to the four of us that were left, me, Denise, Hannah and James, to say, well, we're not going to give up on it. We want to carry on going. So that's what we done. And we got Phil involved. Phil came along originally to help out because we had some gigs coming up. And sort of Phil has stayed with us ever since. So that's where then James, the keyboard player, he's gone on now. He plays in a band called My Everest, a recording band. I think they're touring as well soon, aren't they?
They are. In fact, they just third album as well now.
Yeah, I've just finished an album. I mean, James is very good. And he also plays in another band called Scientist Tigers, which are quite successful as well. So he's sort of quite busy. So he was going to leave, but I think we knew he was going to leave because he's a lot younger than us, and he's also very, very talented.
Yeah.
So it was always going to be a case that he was going to go on and do sort of bigger things. And Denise obviously knows Mike. Denise contacted Mike and got Mike involved, and that's where we are now. The Bonnevilles. The Bonnevilles name came from Denise because she happens to have a Triumph Bonneville. So yeah, that's where the name come from, and that's where we all started. And we've been together as we are now for 2.5 years, 3 years. I think.
And we really are like a little family. We call ourselves our little band family, really, because we are really.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We all get on really well. Yeah,
love them all dearly. Seriously, we're such a nice group of friends, and I think when you're all on the same page and enjoy the same music and enjoy playing together, what else do you need in life, really?
Exactly. We're obviously serious about music because we're always fully booked for the year before the beginning of the year normally, but I don't know how, because whenever we do rehearsal we spend most of the time laughing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
It's a job sometimes to get them to shut up and do some actual work, to actually rehearse some songs.
We do have a good laugh. We do really have a good laugh and get on so well together. Seriously, great group of guys. Really, I couldn't wish to work with better people, if I'm honest.
That's brilliant.
Mike's arrived.
Yes, it's well timed as you're the latest addition, Mike. You're now the latest addition on the podcast as well. So that's really cool.
We have to stop talking about you now.
Yeah. No, I gave them a warning as your name flashed up on my screen. So it's all good.
We can't hear you, Mike. I don't think.
Speak. Oh no, you're still not. I thought you connected.
Still can't hear him. It's got to be a button that he's not pushing at his end, though. That's the only thing.
He's a keyboard player. Come on, Mike.
No, Mike, imagine it's a gig and we're just pushing lots of buttons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see if you can work that out. We'll come back to you in a minute, Mike. All right.
Cool.
So what I like, because I've spoken to Denise a couple of times about the band, and you're really busy, and that's one of the things that you sort of look at and think, you've got to be doing something right. And I also like the fact that you've got, you've got a really good sort of, I don't want to use the word image, but you know what I mean. You've got a good idea. You sort of position what the music is, and you've got the look and all the rest of it. And of course, I think that really, really pays off, because you really haven't got, as such, you haven't really got a lot of competition from that sort of thing. There's not a whole bunch of bands doing the same sort of thing as you.
Yeah.
No, that's why we like to do just the rock and roll, because we don't, it's, if you've got a niche like that, it's better for you, I think, to get work and people get to know about you and everything. Whereas there's so many cover bands around in Kent doing the same stuff, so we're a bit different,
Yes.
And I love the rock and roll. I love rock and roll anyway. I've played rock and roll in bands over the years, and so for me, it was quite easy for me to come into the band.
Yeah, definitely. And I think everyone likes a bit of nostalgia. I think that's the thing. And I mean, we've walked into venues before, and Hannah will know when I've looked at her and I've gone, this is not the clientele, for want of a better phrase, that are going to enjoy this. There could be 18, 19-year-olds sitting there doing shots, and I can think of a couple of venues we've sat in there, and we've walked in on, I'm a bit worried. But I tell you what, they're the first people up on the dance floor. And I think everyone likes to go back to that bit of nostalgia, that bit of 50s and 60s that, you see it on the telly now with TV programmes. Everyone loves to go back to that. You know, it was easy, the nice days, and the music was fabulous. And because we are different, we're not, like you say, a cover band, you know, and no disrespect to cover bands, because I think they're amazing and I've gone and seen many of them, but we are something that's a little bit different. And I think everyone likes to hear that bit of old rock and roll again, which you don't always hear every weekend, or, you know, in an average pub. And kids from late teens that are in those venues watching us, to, you know, in their 70s and 80s that are watching us are up on that dance floor from like song number 2. When they realise, right, well, this is what they're doing, they're up there dancing as they was last night. You know, it was a great turnout last night as well. It was lovely to see everyone. And I think that's what it is. It's a bit of nostalgia that you think, yeah, I can hang on to that. And it's music doesn't go out of fashion either. Everyone loves it.
Everyone knows the songs, even the youngsters. They know the songs. The songs have lasted 50, 60 years.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone knows it. You know, so
Beatles or Chuck Berry, you know, or Brenda Lee, and all of those ones that we do, Buddy Holly, they just know it, and they don't go out of fashion, and everyone's like, oh wow, it's that song, or it's that song. And then obviously we've got our instrumental ones that we put in, which massive credit to Phil on that. We do some great instrumentals on that, and with you know, with Craig as well on the drums and everything else as well. It's just, you know, there's songs that people are like, wow. I mean, we played the song last night when we did the song Wipeout, as you know, Craig, that you do on the drums. I mean, people come through from the other bar that we was in thinking that was a recording. They thought that was a recording of the drums, and that we were playing that over the top, but no, it wasn't. It was us all playing that, and Craig doing an amazing job on the drums as he does with that song, and it works.
And having to lie down afterwards.
You know, and then he always loses 2 stone on that song every night, every occasion. But it's songs that people love and people love to listen to, and I think that's what it is really. That's what makes us popular. If I look at it, and we do it, so I think we do a great job in it, and you know, we get on so well and all have the same interest in it.
And so do I, and I think it also comes across that we're having a lot of fun when we're playing as well. You know, we're not, and it's not put on, is it? It's genuine. You know, we really have a good time when we're playing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
We have a great time, and obviously Hannah looks always fabulous up at the front there with the, you know,
the girls always look amazing.
The hair and the makeup, and you know, we've all got the outfits on that match the era. Everyone looks so good with their instruments. You know, the boys have all got their, you know, costumes on, and that look so smart and represent that era. That you know, you're not just rocking up in a shirt and, you know, like a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. You carry that image across, and it's whole thing is a performance. You know, you're not just getting up there playing a song, you're doing a show. And I think
it often takes me longer to get ready than the actual big takes.
That's true.
Exactly. You're talking about sort of rock and roll, the sort of impact of rock and roll. I used to do little sort of road shows that I used to take around the schools, you know, just like guitar and a bass and a drum kit, right? And you used to play, you know, we'd play lots of different musical styles. And as soon as we played rock and roll, the kids couldn't stop themselves moving.
Yeah.
And it was, and the only other thing, because you in your head you think it's going to be rock stuff, it's going to be, you know, but it isn't. It's the rock and roll stuff and the reggae numbers.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So you think that, you know, when you look at that, I mean, as you said, the songs aren't complicated. I mean, some rock and roll songs are complicated, but you know what I mean in comparison to the type of things that you could do. But I think the stuff is so instant. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what age they are.
Yeah.
Even if they don't think they've heard the songs before, they sort of have in a weird sort of way.
They can sing along even if they've never actually
properly
listened to it. You
It's
know,
very, very
the songs are timeless, aren't they?
They are, and I think and the rhythms sort of make sense. Everything sort of makes sense about it. You know, the tempos and all the rest of it.
I think also like the structures of the songs as well. You listen to the modern music nowadays, you listen to what we play, and 9 times out of 10, the songs are, you've got verse, chorus, there's a guitar solo, there's piano solo. Modern day songs, you don't hear that. When do you hear a piano on a modern day song? When do you hear a lead guitarist doing an instrumental? You don't get it. It's all just, boom, 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 boom.
And also, in actual fact, you're talking about modern songs. I mean, a lot of them are just loops of 4 chords.
That's right. They don't have bridges or anything, do they?
No,
stuff.
They don't.
I can't avoid it. I can't stand it, to be honest.
No.
I'm an old soul. I'm a dinosaur.
There's no sort of structure that sort of takes you through a song, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's actually been happening for quite some time. But you'd think, you would think
1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh, hello! I needed a microphone.
You see, that's what I thought. That it was probably trying to read another input.
You look like you're going to burst in a song, Mike.
Well, two ladies have borrowed my best microphones.
Okay.
I know. I have pinched a microphone. Sorry, Mike.
But I've got all this set up through an
Okay. So
it's got an external sound card. So I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi. So now, Mike, you're a little bit distorted. So what you'll have to do is to keep your mic. No, not so close up. Just talk to us now. No, not that far away. But
hello.
That's it. That's a little bit.
Vic,
a little bit closer.
Oh, Vic, it's lovely to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Mike. And that's it. That's a good distance. Awesome stuff. Right. Okay. So, Mike, you got to say what you do, because they've all said what they've done.
I'm the singer. Can you tell?
No.
You gave me vocal training many years ago.
I did. And Mike, mic technique, which is obviously not what you're using at the moment. So come on, then, Mike.
And I to that. In fact, you don't know this, but on the way to you for those vocal trainings, I didn't have a keyboard, so I went into Britain's in Tunbridge Wells and bought a keyboard so I could have that lesson with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I think you said something like, "Stick to the keyboards."
I don't think I would have said that, Mike. I would have been far more diplomatic than that.
Well, please stick to the keyboards.
No, actually, there is somebody else that you might know that I would have said that to, but not you. We'll leave it there. We won't say any names. Okay, so
about just over a year, as you know, probably know, Denise and I played together about 15 years ago. With a touch of blues, thanks to blues camp, etc. And I was on holiday last year in the Cape Verde, and I got this message out of the blue from Denise, and followed by a phone call explaining that James, the current keyboard player, was moving on, both I think from a career point of view and location. He was moving north of the Thames.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and she just asked me if I was interested and wanted to audition for the Bonnevilles. As it happens, I was already in 2 other bands, but we weren't getting that many gigs, and we'd just had a gig cancelled mainly because of COVID, and I was in that sort of situation where I was open to explore other opportunities, and so glad I am. We've had a fantastic time. It's been just over a year now.
So amazing, isn't that long? God.
Yeah. So it's a Yamaha stage piano underneath, a hammered organ on top. With some synthesizer and strings and bits and pieces, but it all seems to fit in, and I let all the others do the singing.
Okay, we'll just leave that there for the moment.
Okay.
So no, that's really good. See, now there's a couple of things there, isn't there? This sort of obviously this podcast is about sort of creativity and people who do things, and I'm interested in when people have got, like, you've got a really good image and you've got a great idea about what material you're doing, and you keep to that, because a lot of people will just be doing the music they like. Now, I'm not saying you don't like that, but they'll be like, "Oh, I've got to do my favorite song," which nobody else likes. You know what I mean? And it's not about an audience. And obviously you thought about this because it really engages an audience. But there's this other side of things where you were saying that you were in a band with Denise a long time ago, but you still got the call. You know, so it doesn't matter how long ago you make these connections. And this is another thing I think is important for people to realise, particularly young people who are involved in bands. It is about networking, right? But networking is not you just passing your business card around or whatever. It's about actually having some real connection with people. Now, you've already said that what you said this, Denise, that because you're such a great group of people together, it makes it really enjoyable. Because I mean, some gigs are rubbish, aren't they? Even if you can turn up at some places and you think, oh my God, it doesn't. Things just don't. There's always that one gig where you think, well, if you've got a good sort of rapport between you lot, that actually makes it better for the audience as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing, isn't it? There's that if you're having a good time, it's infectious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because we
I
we all
think
love what we're doing, and people can see that we're enjoying it when we're playing. We're not just going through the motions.
I think sometimes those quiet gigs are the ones that you can really sort of play around with things as well, and try, I don't know, different vocal methods out, or just relax sometimes and treat it as a fun night out where I get to sing with my friends. And that is, almost, we did one not too long ago, and it felt like we were in a cellar and there were about 4 people in the audience.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the White Lion, wasn't it? Near Faversham.
It was. And it was a lovely pub. A really lovely pub, but just sometimes the stars don't align and it's just not the right night for people. And actually, it was a brilliant night. We had a really, really good laugh. It was a really good fun. The people there enjoyed it. People that weren't even there to watch us would come filtering in because, I think the energy in the room was just sort of infectious. So yeah, I'd say since this year, particularly, the gigs are busy and full and everybody's dancing, so that particular one sticks in my mind as quite unusual. However, I think I probably had the best night I'd had in a long time that night, because I just got to be on stage with my friends and chat to people, and it was almost more fun.
So here's an interesting, I think an interesting question. How each of you, how did you get involved in music anyway? Because we're talking about the band generally, but
Craig, I think you got to start that one off, Craig, because you got a great answer to that one.
I used to play when I was a kid. Obviously, growing up before being a teenager, a young kid, I used to make drum kits out of Quality Street tins and things like that. Couldn't afford a drum kit, couldn't afford nothing. I'd eat cushions, pillows, anything. Drive me family mad. Always nicking my mum's knitting needles because I didn't have drumsticks. She was always looking for knitting needles because I'd nicked them. And it wasn't till towards the end of secondary school that I actually, first time I ever see a drum kit in a music lesson. And done the music lesson about the drums, and the teacher at the end of the lesson just went, "Does anyone want to have a go?" Of course, all the kids are all putting their arms up and their hands up and that. So, yeah, I went and had a go, and I just sat down. I didn't know what you were supposed to hit when you were supposed to hit it, and I just done Wipeout. And the teacher just went to me afterwards. He went, "Where the hell did you learn to do that?" And I just said to him, hitting Quality Street tins with knitting needles. And it was the next day. I was in an economics class, and the came over to Tannoy with Craig Clark, please report to the music department. And I turned up at the music department, and the head of the music department was standing there. And he said to this other kid who's standing, who was a year above, he went, go in that room with him. So he took me into that room, and he was showing me what to do, you know, when you play it and what, because I couldn't read music. I just played by ear, listening to songs and played along to songs. And it turned out that kid just happened to be Steve White, who went on to be the drummer for Style Council.
Yeah, I know Steve.
And his younger brother, who was in my year, toured with Oasis. Yeah. So that was how I started. But then after school, I was married and had 2 children by the time I was like 19. So I never see a drum kit for 30 odd years. My daughter bought me one about 6 years ago, and that was when I just started playing again. And when it all came back.
Amazing. I'll tell you, this is interesting. I'll just jump in here. I've got 2 stories that relate to this. I just did a podcast that went out yesterday, actually, and I was talking to my keyboard player, Chris, and I was saying to him about when I was a teenager. I lived in Dartford, and there was a village hall, or in the street, you know, where we were, and there was a band in there. So, you know, popped my head round the door, and there was a group of kids just sort of sitting around and these guys playing. And I was telling Chris about this. The guitarists all were going into one amp, and probably the vocalist as well. But the drummer was playing on crisp boxes. So I was actually telling Chris about this, because it was almost like, of course, you know, maybe because he could have had a kit, I don't know, but lumping a kit around because nobody had a car. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, he was playing on crisp boxes and stuff like that. So, you know, it's amazing. It's good that you said that.
Sorry, go on, Mike. No, carry on, Mike. I'm so sorry, mate.
So the other thing was that I was in a band when I was about 16. We had this drummer turn up. He was really good. And he lived, you know, I think we lived in Bexley Heath or somewhere like Belvedere or whatever. And he said, right, okay, you know, he said, we got, you know, you've got the gig type of thing. And 2 days later, he rang me up and he said, I can't do that because I've just joined Style Council. So it was Steve White. So, yeah.
Well.
Yeah, very small world. So, yeah, good.
You're saying about the boxes. There is a Buddy Holly record. I can't think which one it is. That when they turned up to record it, there wasn't a drum kit, and the drummer actually sat with a cardboard box and played on a cardboard box. And Buddy Holly turned around and went, "That sounds really good." And the actual recording is the drummer. He's hitting a cardboard box. And I
doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, Peggy Sue's got him slapping his legs or something.
I don't think which one it is, but yeah, one of his hits is a drummer in a cardboard box.
Well,
yeah.
I've known you, Craig, without a bass drum pedal in a big gig, and you'd just been stamping your foot on the floor.
On the stuff.
And there were sound people there. It was all a professional.
Yeah, even the sound bloke
noticed.
said to me. Yeah, even the sound bloke went to me. Went, "I've got your kick drum," and I'm thinking to myself, "No, you haven't, because I ain't got one."
Just stamping your foot on the floor.
Yeah, just stamping my foot on the stage. Yeah.
Well, of course, that used to be what they used to put on a lot of those recordings, because the Joe Meeks recordings, and they did this with Tamla Motown as well. The Joe Meek recordings, they used to have somebody standing in the bath with their one foot in the bath and the other foot on a loose floorboard in the bathroom, and was beating time with the bass drum. So he used that as a technique quite a bit. So a lot of those early rock and roll numbers has actually got just somebody bashing stamping on the floor.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It is amazing. So it's gone full circle.
Yeah.
That's great, Craig. That's brilliant. Okay, Hannah, how did you...
Well, I sang at school, musical theatre I began, and I still am really a big lover of musical theatre, as I know Denise is as well, down there in the corner. And so did a lot, found out I could sing at school, and then went to university. And I actually, one of the girls that I shared a flat with at university, her brother was a music producer. So he was looking for a vocalist. So I sampled on some underground dance records for him. And we won some awards actually. And so then I finished university, and a very good friend of mine was in an REM cover tribute band. And I'd always been saying to him, I really, really would always love to have been in a Beautiful South tribute band, because I was really big on Beautiful South, a big fan. My dad knew the saxophone player for Beautiful South, so we'd always go to their gigs and be introduced to the band. So, and he obviously he was interested, so he finished with the REM tribute, and we formed a Beautiful South tribute band, and we toured the country for about 5 or 6 years, and did really well. And then I decided to leave that because it was too demanding. It was at the time I was sort of wanting to spend a bit of time with my husband. I'd met my husband, and so I had a few years out, did a few bits and bobs singing. But then when my children now are 6 and 7, and I just moved to Kent, and I said to my husband on a long journey that I was ready to join another band. How did he feel about supporting me do that? Because it's quite a big ask, really. And he supported me, and I actually applied for a job advertisement for this job, for Reborn 59, sorry, for the first rock and roll band that we joined. And with it being vintage, I've always been very much into rock and roll. I used to it was all the music I would play as a child would be rock and roll, and my granddad was really into it, so that's where that came from. So I was really attracted to this band, and obviously joined, and the band as it stands now, and also previously with James, has just been amazing. Mike's a wonderful addition as well, and it couldn't be better, really. I feel like this is it now. I found where I want to be in music. So
that's great. It's a lovely story. Cool. Right, who's next? Come on.
Go on, Phil. You go next, mate.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd started in music from a young age. I learned to play a bit of trumpet at school, and then I had a school band. And you talk about, not having any transport. My dad used to have to take me and my mate Phil around. We were playing in working men's club before we even left school.
Yeah.
So I had a good start, experience. Then I went off in the Navy for 5 years, and my intention was to come out and try and make it as a pro guitarist. But that never happened. But I've been in a succession of really good cover bands ever since, trios and duos and all sorts of things. 45 years now, I've been playing as a semi-pro guitarist. I was with a band called Bonnevilles for 15 years, and then that sort of burnt me out, and I was thinking about packing it up all together, because we were just so busy. I couldn't handle the pressure, of playing every weekend, bank holidays and everything. So I had a couple of years off, and I've had a couple of bands since. But then I got the opportunity to. Craig asked me if I was interested in doing some depping for the Bonnevilles, and I said, yeah, sure. I'll give it a go, and really enjoyed it. So, and that's where I am now. I'm still doing other things, and I'm still doing my teaching and what have you. But the rock and roll band, the Bonnevilles, is the main thing now. So yeah, I've had a really good life in music. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's tricky getting that balance, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
playing with that.
obviously at my age now, I don't want to be out playing every weekend. I just can't. I can't hack the pressure. It's too much, and the travelling as well. We tend to keep it quite local, don't we, guys? We tend to keep it just around in Kent, really.
Thing is, it's a good balance because obviously, like Phil says, with we're all getting older. Plus, you got the girls as well; they've got their families, so it's all built around that. So, the amount of gigs that we do as us suits us all fine, and it fits well. And obviously, you've got your time that you spend with your families and stuff like that, and we all know what dates, half terms and stuff like that. I know we can't book gigs at certain times because, we've all got a life away from the music. So it all fits all nicely and it all suits as well.
Yeah. It's good. Right. Who's next?
Go on, Mike. Do you want to go next, mate?
Not going to start singing again, is he? No.
Yeah.
Because he's going to spring into an Elton John song and he's
I
saying,
I thought he was going to
I did
do
it my way.
Mike.
Oh, it's a little bit funny. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Your mic technique is much better now.
Thank you so much. Well, when I was young, we had an old Joanna in the front room, which my granddad used to come and play. He could only play about 2 numbers, and my dad used to play 1 or 2. And I've just fell in love with the piano from the first day I ever saw it. And I taught myself to play Orpheus in the Underworld, which is known as the Can-Can, and a couple of other numbers. And when I was 8, very fortunately, my parents said, well, I could go to have piano lessons. So I went to Mrs. Mansell, who was 86, stone deaf, held onto the piano so she could feel the vibration. And I came home, I thought I really enjoyed that. But I had an elder sister who had already been having lessons there for 3 years. The next time she went, Mrs. Mansell said that your brother is a very good piano player. And apparently she spent about 10-15 minutes talking about me. So when my sister came home, I ruined her piano lesson. So I only had 1 lesson. I was stopped from going piano lessons because I was ruining it for my elder sister.
oh, no.
That's not. That's a bit. Oh dear.
So
Well, at least you got 1 lesson. I never got any lessons. I begged my parents to let me have lessons, and they wouldn't. So I'm completely self-taught.
Oh well, I've had 1 more lesson than you then.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So, I think that was a little bit of I'll show them I can do it. And I just used to play every single day. And I taught myself the dots. And then when I was 15, my best mate, who I still see now every other week, he taught me the guitar. His brother taught him the guitar. And we started a band. And then I went on to bass guitar for a short while because electric pianos were so expensive in relation to that until I could afford electric piano. And then we had a band which hit the heights of Backstreet Brighton for about 2 years. He went on to be professional, and then I was transferred to Jersey with Nat West, when I used to work with, and I did some cabarets. Most of the work in Jersey in those days was cabaret, which was exceedingly boring. And it wasn't really until the children grew up and I had a bit more flexibility in the Jersey scene changed that I could go back to a lot of the stuff I played in those days was Elton John, Beatles, Billy Joel, probably more my era. But I've always liked the roots of rock and roll. And like I said earlier on, when Denise offered me the opportunity to have a crack at the Bonnevilles, playing some really basic rock and roll, it took me right back to where I was.
The interesting thing is, if you think about Billy Joel's playing and Elton John, it is very rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the I mean, obviously, Vic, several years.
So you're breaking up, Mike. Your mic technique is breaking up.
Am I cracking up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hand over to Denise.
Thanks, Mike. That was really good, though.
Oh gosh. So I started right. It was basically I turned 30, and Scott said to me, my husband said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, well, it was 2 things. I wanted to learn to ride a motorbike, and I wanted to learn to play guitar. I was pregnant at the time, so he wouldn't let me learn to ride a motorbike. So he bought me a guitar, and I literally like 6 months worth of guitar lessons. And at the time, I was living in Asia. I was living in Singapore. I was living in Singapore at the time. So I went and had all these lessons, you know, etc., etc. And I moved around different people, and I met this really lovely elderly chap actually, and I really clicked with him with music, and he was fabulous, and he taught me how to learn to play the guitar when I was living in Singapore. And he was just literally in like a little room in his flat, you know, but he was really good. We'd sit there for hours just playing songs. And then when I moved back to the UK, I had some lessons, and I got in touch with Vic yourself, obviously, and started doing some more. And I went along to blues camp. I learned all about that, and worked my way through some different grades, etc. And I just loved the whole idea of playing. But I've always had, you know, just always had that niche of love playing the old stuff. Doesn't matter where, even when I was doing anything at home, I'd sit and listen to people like the Shadows and Elvis Presley, and, you know, you'd see people like Clapton and Jeff Beck and all of them. And you think, wow, you know, I'm just in awe of these people, you know, and just loved the style and everything. And it just made me want to play more. And so for years and years, I, you know, played the guitar, played in many different bands and everything. And then I switched on to doing some learning how to do bass, and just, you know, taught some of it to myself, and obviously come to Vic with some other ideas as well. And we did some lessons together. And that's when then I saw the advert about, again, it was, you know, the earlier band, Reborn 59, and playing bass in that. And that's kind of where it come from into getting into this band. But to be honest with you, I think the whole thing was a journey. You know, it didn't fall on my lap. It didn't come easy, you know. No. You know, there was many emotional roller coasters.
Yes, there was actually. I can agree with that.
Many tears of trying to, you know, think, why can't I just do that? And as Phil knows, sometimes I'll be, you know, in midst of playing something, and I'll watch Phil play some amazing lead piece, and I'll forget what I'm actually doing. I'm meant to be doing this, aren't I?
Oh, that's very kind of you.
No, seriously, you know, Phil is an astonishingly amazing lead guitarist. You know, it's fantastic to work with. But I just, you know, in awe of all this sort of thing. And yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a long journey. And obviously, you know, with Vic's obviously been a fantastic mentor and tutor, helped me along the way and get me into what I've been doing even up to today. It's been amazing. And I just see the whole thing as one big life experience, really. I just absolutely love it. I love the music. I love playing with the band. Onwards and upwards, really.
So there's one little thing. You said that it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't.
There was one, and this, I think this bears out how well you work together. There was a couple of bands early on that you were involved in that were predominantly men, and you were it was just you as the solitary female, and you were playing guitar. And you got I think the worst side of certain types of characters that you can get.
Yeah, I did.
I said to you that was unusual and unfortunate.
Yeah, and it kind of sometimes did put me off wanting to carry on, because it makes you feel inferior. You know, it makes
and they shouldn't do it, because it's just actually they've got a problem.
No, but there's a lot of egos with musicians, isn't there? You know,
There can
I've come across a lot of that over the years. You know,
yeah.
I've even left bands where I've had people having a go at me on stage, shouting at me on stage.
Well, that's the type of thing I'm in.
Chords and that, and I'm going, come on, that's not the way to carry on, is it? You know,
no,
it's not. No.
But I mean, you've got to be able to. If when you work in a band, you've got to be able to work as a team. And I think that's the classic thing, and we all do. And I know when we're learning new stuff, and we've got obviously new songs that we've got in the set at the moment, and you're working out the arrangements and everything like that. I know I could ask any of these guys, you know, what way round did we did that chord? What way round did we did that verse? You know, what note was that? What way, you know, because I don't know it necessarily. I'm trying to learn off of a CD track, you know, an auto download track, you know. It's not till you get into the studio and you play lists together live, you think, okay, let's just go through that verse again. And I know sometimes I get the rundown might be completely wrong compared to what someone else has done. Do you know what I mean? But with these guys, I know I could go to Mike or go to Phil and say, like, what chord did you use there? What note did you use there? And you work together. You work it out together. But yeah, I have been in those experiences before, and I've worked with people and they're like, well, why the hell don't you know that? You know, it's just that, isn't it? It's just that, isn't it? Why can't you do that? And I'm like, well, I've not played this song before. You know, I've probably not even heard of the song before. And I've had that, and I've walked away from bands because of that. And I think, well, then it's just never going to work. You know, you've got to be on the same page, and it's got to be, you know, everyone makes mistakes. This is human error, isn't it? You know, we all do it.
Oh,
you know,
God, I mean,
we make mistakes live, and we still laugh about it after.
Yeah, it's a team effort, right? That's what it is. And it's
all day long. You know, we do it, but the audience, 9 times out of 10, they're never going to know as long as you can cover it up.
Well, when we learn a new song, we all go away and we all learn our own parts, so that when we get to the studio for the rehearsal, it all comes together really quickly. Something like Telstar, for example. You know, I was going to say about rock and roll music's not always that easy, isn't it? I mean, Telstar's a really tricky number to do. The timing, the chords, or you've got a key change. And the other thing I would say about rock and roll music, although the format is often easy, the songs are very short. So you've got to have an awful lot of songs in your set.
Yeah.
But
you've got a lot of numbers, and you have to remember all the arrangements for all the different songs that you're doing.
We have about 40, don't we, every night?
Yeah, so it makes a difference, you know, the fact that the songs are so short, and obviously you have your own arrangements of them. We don't always do them as per the record, do we?
No, I think Telstar probably. In fact, you said that, it's quite a good point actually, because that's one of the ones you kind of got to play to the track, to the beat. And that is it's quite a tricky song to play, because it's you know, very, very difficult song to play. But actually, as you know, as Craig knows, that always goes down well, because people come up to us after and go, geez, you know, they've never seen any band ever play that song live.
Yeah, I had a fella come up to me at a glass house.
Yeah.
Fella come up to me at a glass house, and he said, I've been watching live bands. He said, my son and his friends are all in bands and stuff. I've never heard a band in a pub play Telstar.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, but we do it. We always pull it off really well.
So Hannah, here's a question for you. Because that's a lot of songs, 40 songs, and they're just worried about the music. I mean, the lyrics. There's a lot of lyrics there.
Yeah, I did smile earlier when you said that rock and roll's easy. I thought you probably weren't thinking it from a vocalist point of view.
No, that is always the problem for me. It's not the music; it's always the lyrics when I'm doing stuff, because it's just it's just so much of it.
That's
not
it.
only
the
that,
phrasing is often unexpected, and
yeah. So. And also, this is another question. They've mentioned that there's a few instrumentals. What do you do when there's an instrumental?
I generally will go for a wee if it's a long one.
Well, presumably not on the stage, but
you go to the bar. She goes to the bar.
I might go and get a drink. Sometimes I go and dance. If there's loads of people on the dance floor, I'll go and dance with them. I generally, or if I'm particularly tired, I will sit down for a minute or two. I quite like the instrumentals. They give me a little bit of a break, because a lot of the songs we do, like you've mentioned, we do 40 songs in a night, and they're, we don't pick easy songs all the time, and so it can be quite a strain. So I tend to use that opportunity to give my voice a bit of a rest, maybe have some tea or a glass of wine if it's a second half, and sometimes I have to nip for a wee.
Craig does lead vocals, doesn't he, on a few? And I've taken up doing some lead vocals on, what do I do, 2 or 3? I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah, you got a few there, Phil.
But we kind of did that so that we could give Hannah a bit of a break.
Yeah, it's quite a strenuous vocally. And I learned since joining the band, I've learned to play the ukulele as well. So sometimes I play along.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. Now, this is another burning question. Where do you get your dresses from?
I sometimes make some of mine.
Okay.
I made a couple of my rock and roll dresses. There's a couple. What's that online that you and I have been using, Denise?
Is Hello Kitty or Retro Stage?
The Retro Stage is very good.
Retro Stage is where you got that lovely green one.
Yeah.
But I quite often use Hello Kitty, and also there's a shop in Rochester that I've used. I've got one, what I call the Guns N' Roses dress. Hannah knows what I mean by that one. That's from a shop called Rocket, which is really good as well.
That's good. You see, I'm into clothes, not dresses. I will say, I'm always got my.
All coming out now.
I've always got my eye on jackets. I've got lots of sort of piratey type jackets and stuff like that. And you've got to know where to go, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's why I ended up making
range now.
Yeah, it's cool. So just one other thing I was going to say. You were saying about, when there's instrumentals, you go off and do something else. I remember watching a film of some, it was actually Miles Davis, actually, but there's some jazz players, and it was the televised version of, I don't know, probably something like So What or something like that. But when they're when somebody's soloing, the other guys just, if they're not playing, they just sort of all hang around the back and have a fag and have a chat. Just having a chat in the background. And you sort of go like, sort of Coltrane's doing a solo, and Miles is having a chat with one of the other, Mulligan or somebody like that, just in the background. You sort of think, it's like a way of life. It's really interesting. So you sort of getting up and sort of dancing with the audience is great.
Well, it's good music. I like to watch a good band.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant stuff. So I think that's probably been going for about an hour. That's really good. So I'm glad that you've spoken about a lot of things I wanted you to sort of cover, actually, about what it is that makes you, because you're doing really, really well. I mean, you've got loads and loads of gigs. I mean, it's extraordinary. And as you say, you're pretty good at, once you play a new venue, you tend to get back there, don't you?
Yeah.
Because Denise normally says that you've done a gig and you end up getting like half a dozen gigs out of the one gig,
Yeah.
And that's a really good sign, really. So yeah, it's brilliant stuff. So I'm assuming you're booked right way through till next year.
Yeah, we're taking bookings for 2024 now.
Yeah,
we're booked out right through the rest of this year into the Christmas end, and we're now booking for next year now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, particularly
because Craig is actually the one that gets 99% of the gigs. I try and get the odd one, and Hannah's got us quite a few as well. And Denise has got us the odd one, but it's mainly Craig that does all the work. He's a real grafter, Craig.
I do constantly sort of like I'm always putting the posters out. I'm always putting the videos out to all the pubs and that, and on the chats, you know, like the Facebook groups. Just you keep the band in people's minds. You know, if you're always reminding them, you know, that we're here. You know, that's, you know, we ain't going to go away. So
no, it's good. And I thought your most recent publicity photographs are really good. The one you've done on the
that was it was a really, really good day. It was funny because I was looking quite a lot on sort of photography Facebook pages to find a photographer, and some of the money that they was asking for was ridiculous. And I just happened my local like Tesco shop. I just happened to be in there and just chatting to the lady working behind the counter, and just talking about, I'm in a band, and I said, you know, at the moment I'm looking for a photographer, and she just said, she went, my husband does photography, and he's been at the latest Kent festival. Apparently they hire him now as one of the photographers. He only does it amateur, you know, it's not his living. So she gave me his name, and I contacted him through Facebook and that, and they travelled down, and we had it all done on Margate seafront.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked like Margate.
He done it, and he even turned around and he said, I don't want nothing for doing it, but we all chipped in anyway, and I gave him some money in the end. So but yeah, he said he's going to pop along to when he can, one of our gigs, and get some like photos of us actually playing, because there was loads of people kept coming round and saying to us, you know, when are we going to start playing?
When are you playing and what are you doing? And I was
saying, well, we've got nowhere to plug in. We haven't got anything to plug in. So,
brilliant stuff. I like those glasses, Mike.
Yeah, he's got his Elton John back on again.
Yeah, actually, very Bootsy Collins, actually. Oh. Very good.
Although we did have Elton John at one of our gigs recently, didn't we? The last time we were at Drake's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cool stuff. Right. Well, thanks ever so much, guys. That was great. Really good.
Thank you.
And nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much, Vic. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vic.
So
Nice
what I'll
to
do,
meet you.
I'll put some stuff in the show notes, right? I'm sure I'll be able to crib something off a site somewhere, unless somebody wants to just send me some blurb. That would be good. All right. Could you just say what your contact is? It like a Facebook page or something?
Yeah, Craig, do you want to do that, Craig? Because you got the contact for that, hon, haven't you?
I think Craig may have frozen.
He's frozen, yeah.
So if you search for the Bonnevilles Rock and Roll Band on Facebook, hang on, he's back.
I'm back.
Yeah. Craig, what's their contact page, hon?
Oh, well, well, we've only got a Facebook page, not a website.
Yeah, that's fine.
Our email is the_Bonnevilles@outlook.com. Phone number is my phone number. If you want that, Vic, do you want that?
I'll put it on the show notes if you want to do that.
Yeah,
you can read it out if you want.
Yeah, it's 077 57 5973. Yeah, and we're on Facebook anyway. We've got our own page on Facebook. It's got a lot of videos on it and pictures.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah,
excellent stuff. All right then. So I'm just going to turn the recording off. So thanks very much. Don't disappear, because I'll say goodbye properly. All right. But so thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When it comes to rocking, she's the queen. Well, love to dance down a Saturday night, all alone where I can hold her tight. But she lives on the 20th floor of town. The elevators are broken down, so I'll walk 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight more. Up on the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to say, get to the top, I'm tired to rock. When she called me up on the telephone, say, come on over, honey, I'm all alone. I said, baby, you're mighty sweet, but I'm in bed bed with an aching feet. This went on for a couple of days, but I couldn't stay away. So I walked 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight 4. Up on the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to slam. Get to the top, I'm too tired to rock. For repairs, till it's fixed, I'm using the stairs. Hope to hurry up before it's too late. I want my baby too much to wait. All this climbing is getting me down. If I'm a corpse draped over a rail, so I'll walk 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight 4. Up on the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to slam. Get to the top, I'm too tired to rock. Get to the top, I'm too tired to rock. Get to the top, I'm too tired to rock.